Okay, we're recording the session now. This is just a Q&A session. The focus will be on the Pet Tutor Blue, primarily on the app, but really this is an open session, so anyone that's on now live can ask a question anytime, uh, either if you've got your microphone open or if you want to send a chat message, I'll see that as well. Um, we'll go over just some of the basics of getting the app going, and then any questions that you have uh, about how you do the setup. We do have setup videos for the feeder itself, and we do have a manual that's posted in the support page. That's the manual is focused more on Pet Tutor Pro, but the portions in the manual that talk about the feeder are still relevant. So there's really very little change in the feeder itself from the Pro version, other than adding the Bluetooth capability. So see, we've got a few folks that are still joining in, so we're just going to move right along. Okay, we've got a few more coming in now, and so can somebody just confirm that you are able to see the app on the screen now? You should be able to see the Pet Tutor Blue app. Okay, all right. Looks like you can see that. So I'm going to go through the app. What I have on the screen right now, again, thanks for coming on a Saturday afternoon. And we have different ways that you can get support for Pet Tutor. There's the online support page. We encourage everyone to use that. Just you can send an email to support at pettutor.biz, and that'll log a ticket, and someone will get back to you to answer your question. Of course, we've got the user group for application ideas and sharing information about Pet Tutor Pro or the Blue model. And then we do have phone support as well, and we'll do Skype sessions or live desktop shares. So we've got a variety of ways that we can help support you. What I'm going to go over right now is the app, and I am going to go ahead and mute just so we don't have background. Send me a note. So if you have a question, you can go ahead and send a chat now, and I'll open up the microphone. But I just muted the mic so we don't have a lot of background noise from the microphones. But if you send a chat note, I'll see that, and I can respond to that, or I can open up the mic. So I have on the screen right now is the Pet Tutor app. I'm going to go through just the basic operations. This happens to be on on the on an iPhone, actually an iPod Touch. The model is the app is very similar to the Android version, although Android we're still adding the functions that we have on the first app that came out, which was for Apple. We're now building the Android version, and that is available in the Google Play Store for Android devices. Although some of the features are not all haven't all been moved over, and I can talk about what some of those features are as we go through this. So let me just jump right in. The first thing you need to do, obviously before we start using the app, I've got the Pet Tutor Blue feeder. You just make sure that it's turned on, and that will activate the Bluetooth inside the feeder, so we can pick that up. If we go into the begin training mode, the first thing you're going to see, which I have on the screen here, I've got the device all set up here, and you can see it found a feeder. And when it finds a feeder, the first thing it's going to ask you to do is enter in the device name. So we've got a place right here to enter in the device name. Go ahead and do that. You can just make up a name. Oh, yeah, can't. the Fluffy. And you can put in different characters. It'll pick up any set of characters. I hit save and continue, and now I've renamed that feeder device. You'll see on the screen here also next to the icon for the feeder itself, I've got uh, an icon for the battery, and that tells you what the voltage is in the battery. That's um, It'll probably be over 3 is good. Anything getting close to 2 would be bad, and the battery itself will start to turn red. So this little icon will turn red whenever the battery gets low. Right next to that, this next icon, that is for the signal strength. And you have 3 bars just like on your phone. That's probably pretty good. 2 bars. When you get down to 1 bar, it might be getting weak, and so you'll just have to test that to see what works best. And then right next to that, then is this connected check mark. When it's green, that means that the app is connected to the feeder, and so we're all good to go here. Uh, so you can tell, if you've got enough battery voltage. Again, it'll turn red if it's too low. Signal strength, and if you're connected, and this would indicate that we're good to go. So the next thing we want to do is push this button at the bottom, which will take us into the training mode. And I'll just walk through what you'll see on the screen here. So you'll see the feed button is just to manually trigger the feeder. So if you press that, if you have more than one feeder, this button at the bottom, trigger all feeders, will simultaneously trigger all feeders that are connected. That can be really handy if you're in a situation like a doggy daycare or a kennel or a shelter operation. If you have 2 or more feeders, and some folks have multiple dogs that are using Pet Tutor, and they've got a separate feeder for each one of their dogs. They're in a crate, for instance, and so they can trigger them individually. You'll have a separate one of these, like this one that I have for Fluffy 1. I might have Fluffy 1, Fluffy 2, or Fluffy, Rover, Max, whatever. Each one I can rename, but they're controlled independently. Okay, let me see. Somebody said that they can see but they can't hear. Can you confirm? Can someone else confirm if you're hearing me okay? It could be just a setting on locally on your system. I can hear, but it is soft. Okay, I'll try to move up a little bit closer to um, the microphone. Can you hear okay now? Am I coming through okay? Couldn't hear you on the Mac, but I can on the iPad. Okay. That's usually a setting on Join Me. Sorry, about the same. All right. Well, I'll try to talk up a little bit. Hopefully you can hear that. If you can't, send me a note, and I'll try to switch over to a different headset. Yeah, someone said they had to download the app for Join.me in order to get that to work. So we're going through the feeder setup, and here you have the basic operation, just the feed button. If I press that, and you may hear that the feeder started. Let's see. I don't know if I can hold this while I'm pressing the speed button. Yeah. So there, I've got the feeder, and it's being triggered manually. And if I press very quickly right after I start the feed operation, let's see if I start it and then hit it right away, I can cancel it. That's different than the Pet Tutor Pro. When you press the feed button, it would just continue until it dispensed a treat or found it empty. So with the app, you get this added capability that you can cancel the feed before a treat actually comes out. That sometimes can be handy. But just be aware that if you hit it twice, you'll cancel the feed if you hit it twice very quickly. The other feature that you have on this, that I'm showing here on this screen, is this little green clock. And that clock right there is an indication of the timed interval dispense. And so if I press that. Now I've got this pop-up screen, and I'll walk through what each of these values mean. So the first one, this number is the number of seconds between dispensing a treat. So I'm in the timed interval mode, so it's going to dispense a treat every few seconds. This one happens to be reading 164 seconds, so let's make that 5 seconds between treats. This next one tells the feeder then how many cycles to run, and let's say I want it to run 100 cycles, dispense cycles, and stop. So that's that second number. And then the last number, the third number down here, it's very similar to what we have in the Pet Tutor Pro. It's a percentage, which can be over 100%, but it's the percent you want to add as an upper bound for the interval. Let me explain that. I'll put a number in just as an example. Let's put 50% in. What that means is you take 50% of this top number, that's 5, so half of that's 2.5. So that means add 2.5 seconds to that top number. That means that the interval is going to go from 5 to 7.5 seconds. If I put in 100%, that would be 5 seconds. So it would be 5 plus 5 would be 10 seconds. So the interval would run from 5 to 10 seconds, randomly varying between those two numbers. So you might get a treat, and then 5 seconds later, you'll get the next treat, or randomly you could get a treat, and then up to, if I had that number set at 5.5, it could be 7.5 seconds later. So you've got a range there that you can have this interval run between randomly, and the computer will randomly pick a number between those two. If I put in 0, it'll just always give me the same value, 5 seconds in this case. So when I hit start, pop-up just confirms that I'm now going into the timed interval mode. And so the feeder is running, and I'm going to hit the button. If I want to cancel it, I can press this little manual button on the side to cancel the feed cycle. So it's triggering every 5 seconds. A kind of another cool thing about having the app is in between the treat dispenses for the timed interval, I can press it manually. That's what I just did. If you notice on the screen, I'm going to press that feed cycle. That meant that I manually gave another treat. So if I've got a really long interval and the dog was being really good, cat walked through the room and the dog didn't move, I'm going to hit that button and give an extra treat. So the manual button still operates. It does not affect the timed interval. They're independent. So it'll still drop a treat every so many seconds, but you can manually add another treat anywhere along the line, like I did just there. Now, if I want to cancel that, so I'm running in the automatic timed interval mode, I press that little red clock, and now it turned green. So that meant I turned off the timed interval mode. So I've got the timed interval mode turned off. So that's the basic operation of the feeder. The manual blue button, you can feed anytime, including when it's running in time dispense mode. And then the little gear over here to the right, that just allows me to change the name of the feeder anytime I want. So if I wanted to rename this, let's call it Rover. Very original names, huh? Let's see. R-O-V-E-R, Rover. And now I've renamed the feeder. We'll talk about in another session some of the other accessories, but they work in a similar way. Like the smart clickers will be listed down here, and we have those smart clickers that are planned on arriving here at the factory pretty soon, and we'll be getting those out. And I've got a little surprise too for folks, some other accessories that you can add to dog toys that will trigger the feeder. Like we've got a tilt sensor that can be used like the original remote. The smart clicker can do that, but we also can put a small device inside a little case, and you can put that inside a dog toy as well. So that's the basic operation of the feeder. Now I'm going to give you a quick look at another capability. I'm going to just pause there before I go any further. Just open the lineup and see if anyone has any questions. Now I have the microphones open, so if you have a question, you can ask that now on the microphone, or you can type a question if you have one. We're going to be moving into the settings button next.
Is that clock on Android too, or just on the iPod one?
It's on Android now.
Great.
I just checked that this morning. So the clock function or the timed interval is present on Android as well. And I'm glad you asked the question about for Android. We do have two versions of Android that are out there right now. We've got one that's in the Google Play Store for Android, and then another version that is under beta test. And those of you that have the beta version may see some other functions that aren't in the store yet. And that just means that we're testing those out. So as we test them out in the beta version, we'll update the version that's in the store. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to mute the line again and then talk about the settings.
Wes, this is
I'm sorry, did somebody start to say something?
Yeah, Wes, this is Carol, Peter.
Yeah.
I'm looking, I have my iPad with the app on it sitting right next to my feeder, and I'm still only getting 3 bars. So what, and occasionally it goes down to 2. So what impacts that signal strength?
Yeah, that's a good question, Carol. We need to look at the number of bars. I'm not sure that it's more of a relative signal. So even if you're really close, I don't know that you're going to get all the bars. We're still calibrating that icon. So,
okay, yeah, thank you.
Good question. The one thing that I will say is I've noticed when I'm down to like 1 bar, that's getting close to the point that I might lose the signal. But usually
Gotcha.
if you at 1 or 2 bars, you're probably okay. If you get just a single bar, you're probably right on the edge and you might start to lose the signal.
Okay.
While we're on that topic, I want to also mention something about the signal strength and the range. We do see quite a variety of signal strengths and the associated range between the smart device and the feeder. And I think that has a lot to do with the particular phone or tablet that you're using and how big the antenna is and the signal strength that you're able to achieve from your device. So, for instance, for smaller devices like maybe the smaller iPhone platforms, like the earlier iPhones were very small, you may not get as much range out of those as you do like the bigger iPhones. And I've had people reporting from the Android in our beta. Now that we're on Android, some beta testers are saying they're getting up to 50 to 70 feet on Android. Now, I've not verified that. On the low end, I've seen the range. It just varies all over the map. It depends on the surroundings and the type of device you have. Somewhere around 25 or 30 feet might be typical for a smaller device. And like I said, I've heard up to 50 to 70 feet on big phones. And we've done really well. I've got I started my testing with the Samsung GS5, and I upgraded my phone. I'm on the GS6 Plus now, which is a bigger device. In fact, it's physically a bigger phone. So this is my current phone. And if you look at the iPad, if you can see that on the screen, this is the iPad Touch next to it. It's a smaller device. And so that will potentially affect the range. So the size and how you hold the device too, because the antenna lays somewhere in your smartphone or your tablet. So you might try turning it, or how you orient your phone may also affect the signal strength. So regarding the number of bars that you see, how you hold it, and the surroundings, all of that may affect the signal range. Um, oh, okay. Somebody's got a really good question here about the. You may have said this. Okay, sorry, let me just read the comments here. So first question here is, you may have said this, but what is the number under those bars? Oh, that's, yeah, that's an engineering term. It's the engineering speak for the signal strength. Usually, that's the minus dBm, is just the way it's expressed in engineering terms. I'd focus more on the bars, but for those that may be interested, technically, you see numbers that are around minus 60 or 70, that you're probably going to get pretty good signal strength. If you get into the minus 90s, that's when you're probably down to a single bar. So that's what the number is underneath the signal strength bars. It's a engineering signal strength number. Minus 60 is good. Minus 90 is not so good. So the smaller the negative number, or I should, yeah. So I think I said that. Minus 90 is bad. Minus 60 or so is probably good. Another question: when the remote control and the cell phone app are both used to program settings, which settings take priority? Another great question. So if you have a Pet Tutor Pro that has been upgraded to Bluetooth, then you'll have the original remote, which I'm holding up here. So this is the Pro model that has been upgraded to add Bluetooth. So you've got both the Bluetooth capability and this original remote. Now, the really cool thing is that they can both operate at the same time. So what I mean by that is, if I had my my phone, I go back here, and let's see if I can demonstrate that without crashing everything. So I have here the feeder, and I'm going to press the button on the app, and so there I triggered a feed. But if I have my original remote connected, I've got the right remote here. And that would be probably not the same. Yeah. So I wasn't prepared for this. Obviously, this is real-time TV. If I had the right remote, so this remote doesn't go with this feeder, but I could also trigger the feeder from the original remote. So you can trigger it. What you don't want to do is start the feed cycle like with the app and then push the button on the remote. So you could have two people triggering one feeder if you had the Pro with the Bluetooth. So I could trigger it once and dispense a treat from the original remote. Someone else that has a phone in the room could also trigger it from their phone. So you can actually use both of those. Okay, so now I've got sorry, my oh boy, I may have to restart my. I've pressed a button here and reoriented my phone. So let's see. Let me go back here.
From him because now it's working.
What's that? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute. Any other questions? Those are really great questions.
Showing things and
will the training mode continue if the app is closed to save the cell battery with the training mode? So I'm not sure if I exactly follow the question, but for instance, if the feeder is dispensing treats on the timed interval mode, if you set that up, then and started it, and so the feeder is in the timed interval mode, you can leave the area with the phone. You can go out of the Bluetooth range with the phone, and the feeder will continue to dispense treats. So no worries about, having to stay close to the feeder if you started the timed interval. Those values get sent out to the feeder and it keeps running. Now, if it's not being used, you can walk away if the feeder is not in the timed interval mode, and it will go into its sleep mode. So the feeder will shut off then, and unless it's running in the timed interval mode. So it continues to operate. Really, you get the best with the Pro model. And you've added the Bluetooth upgrade. They're very compatible. You still get all the same functions with the Pro plus the Bluetooth. Can you switch applications? See, so Sam, I'm not sure. Switch applications. So like if you're on your phone and you want to go to a different app and then come back, is that what the question is? There. Oh, it was the way I was oriented the phone. That was it. Yes. Okay. So let's see. So if I want to change the app, let's see. So if I want to go over to settings and then come back, and so there's your answer. So I'm able to switch apps, and the Pet Tutor app is still running in the background. Hope that answered your question. So yeah, I can leave. I'm going to go ahead and mute that. Okay, I've muted the microphone, so if you have a question, you can go ahead and type those in. So Sam, I hope that answered your question, so we can switch between the Pet Tutor app and other apps. And let's see, so we talked a little bit about the range signals and the devices, the Android devices. So we're going to go in and show you now. This next one is coming to Android. We don't have it in the Android app yet. This one, you'll notice I'm going to go to this choice down here, which is the settings button. And when I go into settings, it will also go out and look for Bluetooth devices compatible with Pet Tutor. It found the feeder. If we had other accessories, it would connect. It would find those too. If I press this button over here, it says connected. That'll take me into this screen, which has a lot of the details. And I know we have some folks that are doing development, either creating their own products to be compatible with Pet Tutor, or we have folks in universities that are using Pet Tutor for some behavior research work. We have people that are just having some fun connecting their own programs that may have development or engineering background. So this starts to get into more of the nitty-gritty of the interface, the Bluetooth interface into the Pet Tutor feeder. And so this device is like a device serial number on Bluetooth Low Energy. Again, here's the voltage out in the device, names of the firmware and the last time it was updated, all those kind of nitty-gritty details. The one that I really want to bring your attention to is this one in the middle. Says install the new software, and we'll go into that. I press that, and now it comes up. And again, this is only on the iPhone or the iOS or the Apple platform right now. So your iPhone, iPod will have these capabilities I'm talking about right now. What you'll see here are a list of different file names. And so like this one that says, Pet Tutor Clicker version 6 .hex, those are for hex files. And that's not really relevant for you that are not programmers, but what it does mean is that this is a program that could be downloaded into the clicker or other accessories. We even have some for the feeder. So if we came out with new feeder programs from within your app, you'll be able to update In fact, you're able to do that today. You can update any of your accessories over the air. All of these files or programs, we call this either the mini app store or the Pet Tutor library. All of these are stored on the cloud. And so you will have to have a connection if you go into this function to reprogram any of your accessories to get a new program for the accessory, because it has to access the cloud. So we store these on our own cloud server. And when you go there and push one of these buttons, it pulls that program down from the cloud. So you won't, if you don't have an internet connection, you won't see this. So like if you're on an iPod, an iPad, and you don't have a internet connection, you won't see what I'm showing you right now. But if you do, you'll get this list of programs. You'll have a button for download. And the first thing you do is pull this little program down from the cloud, and that'll put it on your phone, and it'll stay there until you change your app. Then when you after you download it, the button will turn to a green and it says install. That means now the program is setting on your phone, and you can send it out to your Pet Tutor accessory. We intend to let others that are writing software for accessories or creating their own tools, will review those applications. If folks want to put some of their own accessory programs out there, like maybe make a better tilt sensor, for instance, we can put those out there so everyone would have access to it. So this is kind of a really, really neat feature that would be available to any Pet Tutor Blue user that can access the firmware. And then the programs at the top, the one at the top, this is typically you wouldn't have to do this, but if you had a problem with the feeder, you could reinstall the feeder program. And then this one, sometimes this is only mainly used at the factory, but we have a little operating system in our accessory packages, and we can reprogram that little operating system too. So that is that's the mini app store. I'm really excited about that because that means we can give folks the newest and latest capabilities. We can push that out through the internet, and you can reprogram your device anytime with new packages. So, and if you had other devices, other feeders, it would list the feeders here, or other accessories, it would list those as well. So that's a quick tour through the how to run the app for begin the training and the settings. So I'm going to open up the line again and see if okay. So I've got the mic back on again, and you can type the question.
Okay, honey, thank you.
Any other questions? Anything we've gone over so far? I've just got one last thing I want to show you. What was the blink in the settings? Okay, I'm going to mute this just so that not a lot of background. Okay, let me go back to the settings and connect. So you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner this little word blink, and what that is we have inside the feeder and in all the accessories we're using. I think I've mentioned this before. You may or may, depending on when you've gotten involved with Pet Tutor, we're using a product called the Light Blue Bean. And I'll show you. In fact, I wanted to talk about this next. If you can see that on the screen, this is a little circuit board, tiny little circuit board. It has an LED on it, and when you hit the blink, it will start that LED blinking, and that can be really helpful if you have multiple devices. This is more for people that are writing some of their own programs. We have Pet Tutor users that are engineers or programmers, and they're writing some of their own software. And they've got several of these that they're using them for different sensors, maybe for an application. Uh, and they need to know which beam they're really talking to. So that blink will flash the LED on this, and then you'll need to stop it uh, in order to turn off the blink. So it'll say blink and then stop blink. So that's what that's for. More for people that have multiple devices and maybe doing some of their own programming. When you are in the training mode, the battery indicator is for the feeder, correct? Yes. And that's kind of neat because we didn't have that before, but now that we've got the bean out in the feeder, it's this little device I said that's in the blue feeder. When we add new hardware into anytime you get an upgrade, we add this device in. So we add software and hardware. This is now measuring the actual battery voltage out in the feeder. So if those 2D batteries that are in the bottom of your feeder, if those start getting low, you'll see that battery voltage, that number will start to drop. So it is kind of nice. It's not just for the Bluetooth, it's for the entire feeder. We do have another sensor out there. We don't really have any program written for it. Others could. There's actually a temperature sensor on board on this as well. So we could actually measure the temperature and report that out in the feeder. We don't have that today. That's certainly doable, and anyone else that's writing a program that could think of a reason you might want to do that. Maybe the feeder got too hot and you don't want the food to get spoiled. We also have the accelerometer is on board out in the feeder too, so you can tell if the feeder is getting bumped or moved or tilted. So there's some new features down the road that we might add into our own software. So that's a bit more than what you wanted about the voltage, but I thought I'd let you know there's some other stuff that's available. When I'm in the timed mode, it doesn't have any bars for the battery. But when just in the manual mode, it is full. Do you know why this is? So when you, let's see, in the timed mode, I've got this as connected. And so now I'm so I'm going to go into the timed, the feeder just went. So I heard that beep, my feeder just timed out. Since I've been talking, so I've got to reconnect to the feeder. Okay, so this shows you that even though the feeder went to sleep, as soon as I turned it back on, we found it again. So now if I go into the timed mode, so now it's in the timed mode, I actually have the bars on the display. Now this is for the Apple. I do know we did have some problem on Android. So I think when you go into this screen on Android, you won't see the bars on the signal strength on this screen. So these bars that are showing right here, these, you won't see those in the display that I'm showing right now on the Android app. So if I back up, so if I'm back at this previous screen on Android, you do see this here. So this is where we are able to grab it here in Android, but when you go back into the start training mode on the Android version, these bars will go away. So I don't know if that was your question, but I do know there is that difference currently between our Android and Apple apps. Okay, it is an Android device. Yeah, okay, so that answered that question. But I have an empty battery cell as well. Yeah, I'm not sure, an empty battery cell. Okay, on the Android, I know what you're saying. So in this screen, maybe it's not showing the battery. We'll have to look into that. You know, we may, I thought we had that live and reading the battery when you're in this screen. If you go back to this prior screen, you should be able to see right here on Android, you should be seeing both the battery read with the number of bars, and you'll see the signal strength on this screen. We'll have to take a look at that. If you go into this next level, then we may need to update the software. So I know the signal strength is not active on this screen in Android. That's just a quirk in Android right now. Let's see. Okay, any other questions? Okay, that sounds like we've got that one answered. Yeah, there will be some differences between Android and Apple apps. As we move along, we are trying to get more of the functions that were in the Apple app moved over to Android. If any of you have done any development, you know Android is a more difficult platform in some ways because there's so many different kinds of devices, and not everything is the same between the two. So you may find that there are some functions that are on the Apple side that aren't quite on our Android side yet. I am going to focus mainly in this session on just the feeder and the basic operation of the app, and then we might do another session, especially as we get the smart clickers. Those I think I've announced on Kickstarter. We're hoping to get some of the first production units of those on the 28th. So coming in this month, I hope. We'll get a batch of those in, and we'll start getting those out to folks that are part of Kickstarter. And then we'll start making those available to others. They won't be on sale just yet. We're going to test those out first, but hopefully right after the first of the year sometime, I'll start making the smart clickers available, which we'll be able to do. Well, we'll have a whole session on that. Is that the smart clicker can be a standalone device just on its own. It doesn't need, there are lots of training functions that are available with the smart clicker in addition to just triggering the Pet Tutor feeder. So we're going to hold off on really getting into the detail of the smart clicker right now. But I will talk about another accessory, which if folks, anyone that's in this session right now would be interested, go ahead and send me an email. You can just send it to excuse me, support@pettutor.biz. That's support@pettutor.biz. If you would like to beta test, I have, if I can see that right there, I have some of these that are made up in a nice little case, and these are the beans that are inside our accessories in the feeder. We can put these inside dog toys. They're much smaller than our original remote. Let's see if I've got the... So those of you that have a Pro, you know what I'm talking about, like with the wobbler game. You can put this inside a wobbler and it will trigger the feeder. Well, we've got a much smaller version now. So you see the tilt sensor, the accelerometer on this device, on this new one, it's on a circuit board that's much smaller, which means you can get it in much smaller dog pet toys. So I'm really exploring. I think you know, if you want to beta test, if you just will refund your deposit, but I would like to get these back. So for let's say about $30, if you wanted to beta test one or more of these, you can put these in multiple dog toys. We're going to be checking these out. If you'd like to have one of these to try out, they'll work with our app and the smart clicker, so you can put these in different toys. We're trying to make them smaller and smaller devices to put into different dog toys. So that was one of the things I wanted to mention that we're going to be testing out here, and those are available right now for beta testing as these little tilt toy sensors. So that's all it does, is it goes in a dog toy and you can change the tilt setting, and that's available inside the app as well. So you can have the tilt sensor and the feeder working together to create like a little dog game. Let's see. The second webinar on Monday, will it cover different information or just for folks who could not attend today? It's intended to be just another opportunity to cover the same material. Thanks for asking, Carol. Yeah. If you wanted to join in, the questions could be the same or slightly different, but the focus, the material I'm going to cover is pretty much what we covered today. I can't see the tilt sensor. Is it small enough to put on a door handle? That's a cool concept. Let's see. Let me hold it next to a D battery. Maybe that would give you kind of a reference. So if you can see that, you know, even in the case, if I take it out of the case, this device, you wouldn't have to put it in this, but this protects it, and you'll be able to see the LED when it's in this case. The sensor has a little coin battery in the back, and this is what will be in the smart clicker. So here's the back of the device. You can see it's a very small little board. That's the front, and it has one of these little coin batteries. It's in the sensor, and so it's a little bit bigger than my thumb. The device is. So it's fairly small, and you could put it on, and it's very, very lightweight. So you'll be able to. Can't see it. So you're not. Are you seeing my little bubble head on the desktop? Let's see. I think I'm sharing my desktop. So I thought it was giving you the video. Are you not seeing my little bubble? No. Your bubble head is frozen. Okay, well, I've been told that before. Yeah, so, sorry about that. I will, what could I do? I can probably go ahead and get a picture of this device out to you. I think I've shared that on the we have another site that is used for beta testing. And I'll take a picture of this, and I'll put this on the user group. Let's just do it that way. If you think you might be interested, I'll go ahead and post this information. Oh, okay, so somebody else said they can see the video. So it might be a function of your connection or whatever. But what I will do is take a couple of still shots of this device so you can see how small it is. And I'm experimenting with lots of different dog toys to see how small and the variety, you know, where we're going. You can kind of think of like a multi-dimensional puzzle with these little devices in them, so your dogs can play some kind of puzzle games. So gaming is an area that we're really interested in, and we do have other developers, as you may be aware, that are developing their own products for Pet Tutor that take advantage of some gaming that can be done. So that's where we're going with this, and we'll make that available to you that if you're interested in beta testing, so we can get those out right away. Let's see. It in the case is about the height of a D battery, but half as thick from what I can see. Yeah, it's actually a little bit shorter than a D battery. Like I say, the profile is about the size of my thumb. So if I put my thumb on it, I can just about hide the board. I don't know if you can see it. And it's really thin. So it's probably about half an inch thick, maybe something like that on the side. And then it's just about a little bit about the size of a thumb. So you can imagine that'll go into a lot of different devices. Or it could be taped on things like doorknobs and other stuff that can be used for tilt sensing. And I know we do have some developers. If there are any folks online that are developers, we do have a GitHub, which is the place that folks store their programs. It's big, not just for us, but you know, it's been around for a long time. GitHub is a place where software developers that want to share code go, and we're starting to see some code. We've got instructions on our GitHub on how you can develop your own accessories and products for Pet Tutor and share your own programs. And I know one person I know for sure has been kind of playing around with different programs for tilt sensing. And so we want to encourage that. We are open architecture for Bluetooth. So there are lots of different tools that could be developed for Bluetooth compatibility with Pet Tutor. Um, okay, so that it kind of covers the main topics that I wanted to talk about. We've gone through the connecting to the feeder, some of the operations. We talked about the Pet Tutor Pro versus the Blue. You can still use the original remote in the same session. It doesn't really change the function of the Pro. Um, but if you're again, if you're triggering the feeder from your app and from the original remote, you you want to just let a treat dispense. Don't interrupt the middle of a cycle. So that's the only problem that I've had is if you start a treat dispense from your app and then you also punch the button on the remote at the same time, they can get out of sync. But if you let it dispense a treat, you can alternate between the original remote and the app. And we talked about the time dispense mode, and we went through the little mini app store. Um, just mention the accessories. We're going to have another session that will really dive in. The accessories is an area I am super excited about. So I think there's a lot of possibilities. Oh, by the way, anyone get Hold Dog Journal? I am really excited. We were so fortunate. We got a very nice review in the January issue of Hold Dog Journal, a Gear of the Year review of different products, and we had a huge full page review with picture. Just so excited about that. I've been a big fan of Hold Dog Journal for a number of years, so I was really excited when I found out they were going to do a review of Pet Tutor. So you'll see a really nice review in the Hold Dog Journal January issue, January 2016 issue. What a great way to start the year! Yay! So anyone else? Oh, Rebecca, you might want to talk to your friends up at Wolf Park. I got a note the other day that they're playing with Pet Tutor and having a blast up there. So I know you like Wolf Park and have been up there, so you might want to check them out. So they're plugging away, having a good time. I've got to get back up there. I'm going to talk to Ken McCourt and find out when he wants to get up there and see what they're doing. So I think with their new pet, and we gave them a blue version so they can really get have some fun with the wolves and the coyotes and other species that they have up at Wolf Park. So any other questions? We've got about 5 minutes left, but I'm just hanging out here. So if you do have any other questions, I can answer those. The question about stickers, stay tuned. So we'll have more to say about that. So we're just playing with all kinds of ideas right now. We got some other stuff in the works. I think in 2016 it's going to be a really exciting time on what you could do and the other devices that Pet Tutor will work with. So I'll just leave it at that. So just I know that that's in our app. We're not quite ready to start talking about that yet. So stay tuned. If you set the timed dispense and want to quit before it finishes, can you stop it? Yeah, so that was, if you go into the app, you just push the little button or the little clock. Let's see if I can get in. Yeah, so if you can see on the screen again, the little clock, it pops up, and if I start it, now it's in time dispense mode. If I push the little clock, it's red. If I push it again, I just hit it with my finger. Now it turned back to green, so I stopped it. So you can let it run for as many cycles as you programmed it, or you can stop it from the app. And of course, you can also stop it by powering off the feeder too. So yeah, start and stop is pretty easy. Okay. Does the app remember the previous program cycle after it has been turned off? I think the answer is no, but I know that I want to make that kind of remembered, so the app will remember it. I think it goes back to the default settings. So I'll have to check that. But I definitely want it that way. I'll talk to our programming team about what we can do if it's not that way. So it may not remember that right now. And let's see, if you leave the feeder and it goes into sleep mode, when you return and hit the feed, will it wake up and dispense, or do you manually have to use the power button? If you leave the feeder and it goes into sleep mode, okay, when you return, if it goes into sleep mode, it'll power down, so the feeder will power down. So when you return, you have to hit the power button to wake it back up. So okay, so maybe that's answering your question. Yes. Yeah, so if the feeder goes to sleep, so if you've let's say you've run it in the time dispense mode for 20 cycles. So you set it up in your app and it runs for 20, it stops. Then in 15 minutes, it'll go to sleep. That's the factory default for the sleep. Now, it won't wake back up again from the app. So maybe another way to answer that, we've had some people say, I'd like to turn the feeder on from my app. And the answer to that is, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that right now. But, we're always listening and really interested in input. So you would have to turn the feeder back on manually from the power button on the side. Related to that, someone wants to know, Sam's, does it go to sleep if it is plugged in? The answer is no, it does not go to sleep. The feeder, if our feeder has dual power capability, so it's either the batteries or it's the AC adapter or wall wart that you plug in. When you plug it into the wall, it bypasses the batteries. Now, we don't charge the batteries, so you can't put rechargeables in. That question comes up. But it does bypass the battery, goes on to wall power, and never goes to sleep. So if you want the feeder to stay awake, just put it forever or always on, then just plug it into the wall power, and it will stay on from the wall power. And that disables the sleep timer. As soon as you pull the wall power away, it re-enables the sleep timer, and it'll go to sleep in 15 minutes or power down. Does it go to sleep if it is plugged in? Okay, I think, yeah, that answered that. I'll just open up the microphone. Okay, I've got the mic open again just in case I would rather ask through the mic, and I think we've got a dog that has a question.
Thank you, Wes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you, guys. All right. Well, again, if you have any questions along the way, just send an email, support@pettutor.biz. If you need help or have a question, and keep an eye out on the Facebook user group, and I'll have a picture of these new little tilt sensor toys that we're going to be playing around with. So with that, I'm going to close the session. Again, thank you very much for taking time on the weekend to drop in. Bye, everybody.